In 1938, in the underground laboratories of the Ahnenerbe Institute, Nazi scientists performed an autopsy on a Romany baron. They were searching for an answer to one question: why is it impossible to eliminate these people? The protocol was classified, but one assistant made a copy, and what's written there changes everything. The skull structure didn't match any known European race. Bone density was 17% above normal, and in the blood they found antibodies to diseases that had wiped out entire cities. The document sat in Stasi archives for 60 years and was only declassified in 2003. And you know what's strangest? The scientific community completely ignored it, as if they'd agreed to stay silent. By the end of this investigation, you'll understand why. But first, answer me this. The Romani have lived among us for over 1,000 years. They've been driven out everywhere, killed, burned, forbidden to speak their language, denied the right to own homes. Yet they survived. More than that, they preserved their traditions, language, and customs. No other people in human history has withstood such pressure for so long. How is that possible? Drop your theory in the comments, because the official history doesn't hold up to even basic scrutiny, and I'm going to prove it to you right now. Open any textbook. It says the Roma came from India around the 5th or 6th century AD. They were a caste of wandering musicians and blacksmiths. They migrated through Persia to Byzantium, and from there spread across Europe. Beautiful story, simple, understandable, and absolutely full of holes. The first inconsistency is the language. Romani, the language of the Roma, does contain Indian roots. About 30% of the vocabulary resembles Sanskrit and Hindi. But linguists can't identify the origin of the remaining 70% at all. The words don't resemble any known language in the world. Professor Ian Hancock of Yale University, himself half Romani, spent 40 years studying Romani. In 2010, he published work that colleagues preferred to overlook. His conclusion: Romani is an artificially created language. Someone deliberately mixed an Indian base with elements that exist nowhere else. Why? And more importantly, who was capable of creating a language in the 6th century AD? That's the first loop. Remember it, we'll come back to it. The second inconsistency is even stranger. In 2012, an international group of geneticists from Spain, India, and Estonia conducted extensive DNA research on the Roma. Results were published in Current Biology, and here's what they discovered. Yes, the Roma have Indian genetic markers, but they make up only 40% of the genome. Another 30% is European, and the remaining 30% doesn't belong to any known population. Not Indian, not European, not African, not Asian, nothing. The study's lead researcher, David Comas, called it a genetic phantom. In the scientific report, he wrote carefully, "The origin of these markers requires further study." But in an interview with the Spanish newspaper El País, he said directly, "We've never seen anything like this. These genes seem to come from nowhere." 13 years have passed. No further research has been conducted, no funding provided. The topic is closed. Why? The third inconsistency concerns when the Roma appeared in Europe. Officially, 10th or 11th century, first written mentions in Byzantine chronicles, all logical. But in 1987, archaeologists from the Hungarian Academy of Sciences excavated a burial site near Budapest, dating 2nd century AD, Roman era. In the grave, a woman,
Around her neck, a necklace of coins and amulets. The pattern on the amulets is identical to a symbol the Roma still use today, exactly identical. That means the Roma were in Europe at least 700 years earlier than official history claims. The excavation leader, Laszlo Kovács, wrote an article for the journal Archaeologica Hungarica. It never appeared. Kovács died 2 years later under strange circumstances. Car accident, single vehicle, dry road, no skid marks. The excavation materials were transferred to the archives, access closed. And here's where it gets really interesting. The official version says the Roma are wanderers, outcasts, a people without history and written culture. They pass down knowledge only orally, no documents. That's a lie. In 1991, shortly after the fall of the Berlin Wall, German journalist Klaus Meyer gained access to the Stasi archives. He was looking for material on the persecution of Roma in East Germany and found something else, a folder labeled Gypsy Archive. Inside were documents confiscated from Romani families between 1933 and 1945, diaries, letters, maps, and most importantly, manuscripts in Romani. Manuscripts dated to the 15th and 16th centuries. A people with no written culture with 500-year-old manuscripts? Meyer tried to contact experts. No one responded. He wrote an article for Spiegel. The editors rejected it without explanation, so he published the material in a small independent journal. Print run of 3,000 copies. The entire run was bought up on the first day. Whom? Unknown. Meyer himself ended his journalism career after that, moved to Austria, never wrote about the Roma again. Now let's talk about what the Roma can do and why it stumps modern science. First, metallurgy. Romani blacksmiths were famous across Europe for centuries. Their products were bought by kings. Their knives didn't rust for decades.
Their horseshoes withstood loads that would destroy ordinary iron within a month. In 2005, metallurgists from the University of Sheffield examined an old Romani knife from the 15th century. The result shocked them. The metal structure contained micro-additions of vanadium and molybdenum in proportions that modern science only discovered in the 20th century. The melting temperature for such an alloy is 1,700 degrees. 15th century furnaces maxed out at 1,100 degrees. How did they do it? An old Romani blacksmith from Slovakia, over 90 years old, told researchers a secret. They didn't melt the metal, they talked to it, spoke words in a language they themselves didn't understand. Words passed from father to son for 1,000 years. Words that made iron soft without fire. Crazy, superstition, but then how do you explain vanadium in a medieval knife? Second, music. Romani music can put people into altered states of consciousness. That's not a metaphor, that's medical fact. In 1997, neurophysiologists at the University of Budapest conducted an experiment. They hooked up electrodes to volunteers and played them Romani violin music. Live performance, no recordings. After 12 minutes, 70% of subjects switched to theta rhythm. That's a state of deep meditation or trance. Normally, it takes hours of practice or special substances to reach that state. And here, 12 minutes of violin. The experiment's leader, Professor Imre Toth, tried to understand the mechanism. It wasn't about the melody. The same notes played by a conservatory musician showed no effect. It was about something else. Micro-intervals between notes, overtones the ear doesn't hear,
but the brain perceives, rhythmic patterns that classical music theory doesn't describe. Toth wanted to continue the research, but the grant wasn't renewed. Official reason: insufficient scientific significance. Music that changes brain function in 12 minutes has insufficient scientific significance? Third, and this is the scariest, the Roma don't get sick like we do. During the plague epidemic in the 14th century, a third of Europe died. Villages died out completely. Cities turned into graveyards. Bodies couldn't be buried fast enough. But the Roma almost all survived. Historians explain this with nomadic lifestyle. They didn't stay in one place, didn't contact the infected. Sounds logical, but doesn't hold up to scrutiny. The Roma definitely had contact. They went from town to town, traded with the sick, buried the dead for payment, cared for the dying, and didn't get infected. In the Vatican archives, there's a letter from the Bishop of Avignon to Pope Clement VI from 1348. The bishop writes, "The Gypsies passed through the city at the height of the plague, stayed 3 days, not one got sick. The people demand we burn them as witches. What should I do?" The Pope replied, "Don't touch them, observe." But no observation was ever conducted, or it was conducted, but the results were hidden. And here we come to the main point. In 2014, in Transylvania, yes, that Transylvania, a local priest discovered a walled-up room in the basement of an old church. The church was built in 1420. The room was walled up around the same time. Inside, they found 32 objects, candles, chalices, fabrics, and one strange artifact, a disc of metal, 23 centimeters in diameter, about a centimeter thick, weighing 4 kilograms. On the surface, symbols. Some symbols are an exact copy of signs from Romani amulets. Some aren't deciphered to this day. But the strangest thing is the metal itself. Romanian experts sent a sample to the lab. Result: an alloy of iron, nickel, and iridium. Iridium, one of the rarest metals on Earth. Melting temperature, 2400 degrees. Technologies for processing it only appeared in the 20th century. Where does an iridium alloy come from in a walled-up room from the 15th century? The priest handed over the find to the diocese. The diocese handed it to the Vatican. Since then, no word about the disc. Only amateur photos the priest took before handing it over. Official research, zero. But there's one person who saw the disc, held it in his hands, studied it for 3 days before it was taken away. Professor Mircea Popescu from the University of Bucharest. And here's what he said in a private conversation, a recording of which somehow made it to the internet in 2019. He said, "The disc is warm, constantly, doesn't cool down. Even in a cold room, the surface temperature stays at 30 degrees Celsius, as if there's an energy source inside. But no mechanisms, no batteries, just metal." And he said something else. When you hold the disc in your hands, you hear a sound, a low hum at the edge of perception, and you start seeing images, faces you've never been, events you don't remember. Popescu worked with the disc for 3 days. On the 4th, he was suspended from teaching. A month later, he resigned. Now he lives in a village near Brasov, won't engage with anyone. The recording cuts off, but the question remains. What is this disc? Who created it? And what relation does it have to the Roma? The disc from Transylvania wasn't the only one. In 1944, a few months before the fall of the Third Reich, an SS unit from the Ahnenerbe conducted an operation in occupied Hungary, officially evacuating valuables, in reality, a hunt. They were looking for Romani artifacts. Documents about this operation were stored in the U.S. National Archives, declassified in 1998. And here's what they say. a group of 12 men under the command of Otto Sternbannführer Rahn, the same Rahn who searched for the Holy Grail, received orders to find and confiscate items listed as gypsy relics.
In the list, 7 items, 3 discs, 2 scrolls, 1 dagger, and something simply called mirror. Rahn's group worked for 3 weeks. They combed through Romani camps, interrogated elders, killed those who refused to speak. They found 4 of the 7 items, 2 of the 3 discs, 1 scroll, and the dagger. They didn't find the mirror, the 2nd scroll either. The 3rd disc disappeared with the camp that managed to escape to the mountains. The found artifacts were sent to Berlin, to the Ahnenerbe Institute. There they were studied until the end of the war. And then a gap, a black hole in history. Officially, everything destroyed in bombings, archives burned, artifacts lost, all traces covered. But in 2007, German historian Heiner Lindemann found the diary of an Ahnenerbe employee. The diary survived the war, the owner didn't. Entries are from February and March 1945 and describe experiments with Romani discs. Lindemann published excerpts in his book. Print run, 5,000 copies. The book sold out in a week. There was no second edition. The publisher refused, without explanation. But I found a copy, and here's what it says. February 12, 1945, Berlin, underground laboratory. The employee writes, the discs react to human blood. On contact with Aryan blood, nothing. On contact with Jewish blood, nothing. On contact with Slavic blood, nothing. But on contact with Romani blood, the disc starts to glow, a faint bluish glow around the edges. Surface temperature rises by 3 to 4 degrees, and a sound appears, a low hum, as if the disc is waking up. The SS conducted 47 experiments with different Roma, men, women, children, elderly. Identical result. The disc activates only from Romani blood. But that's not all. February 23, new entry. They tried connecting both discs, laid them side by side, dropped blood on each. The discs began to resonate. The hum intensified, the glow got brighter, and then the entry breaks off mid-sentence. The next page is torn out. After that, only one sentence, written in shaky handwriting. We opened a door, but don't know where. What did they see? Lindemann tried to find out. He searched for other surviving Ahnenerbe employees. Found one, 93 years old, nursing home in Argentina, Buenos Aires. The old man refused to speak, but before his death, 2 months after Lindemann's visit, he handed him an envelope. In the envelope, a photo, blurry, black and white, terrible quality, but you can see the main thing. 2 discs lying on a table, between them a column of light, not a beam from above, a vertical column, going from the discs upward. And in this column of light, figures, silhouettes, unclear, as if people, but not quite. On the back of the photo, a pencil inscription. They came. They're waiting. Who are they? Let's pause and collect the facts. Discs, at least 3 of them, scattered across Europe. They're made from an alloy impossible to create with medieval technology. They react only to Romani blood. Upon activation, they create something, a portal, a communication channel. We don't know, but the Nazis knew, or thought they knew. And here the story takes a turn. Remember Rahn's operation? 7 items on the list, 4 found, 3 missing, the mirror, the scroll,
and the third disc. In 1992, a year after the collapse of the Soviet Union, Russian historian Andrei Voronov was working in KGB archives. He was looking for material on the deportation of peoples and found a folder marked "Especially Important, Preserve Forever." Inside, a report from Soviet intelligence from 1946. Topic: Captured materials from the Ahnenerbe Institute, Gypsy category. It turns out Soviet troops had captured part of the Ahnenerbe archive, including documentation on Romani artifacts, and one of the discs, the third one, the very one the Nazis didn't find, which the camp took to the mountains. But how did it get to the Soviets? The story goes like this. In spring 1945, a Romani camp came down from the Carpathians. The war was ending. The Germans were retreating. The camp moved east towards the Red Army. Among the Roma was an old man. He was over 100 years old. No one knew the exact age. He carried a canvas bag, never let it out of his hands day or night. When the Roma met Soviet soldiers, the old man asked to be taken to the commander, not to a lieutenant, not to a captain, to the very top. They took him to General Malinovsky. What they discussed is unknown, but after the conversation, the old man handed over the bag, and the general ordered the contents immediately sent to Moscow by plane, under guard. In the bag was the disc and something else, the scroll, the very second scroll the Nazis didn't find. Parchment about 2 meters long, 40 centimeters wide. Text in Romani, but not modern Romani, archaic, so old Soviet linguists couldn't fully decipher it. The partial translation took 3 years. Results were classified, but Voronov found the translator's drafts, and here's what they were in. The scroll described an exodus, the departure of a people from their homeland. But this homeland isn't India. The translator noted in the margins, name cannot be identified. Phonetically, something like Adalan or Atalan. The suffix indicates a place, land, country, Atalan. Sounds familiar. I know what you're thinking. Atlantis, beautiful fairy tale by Plato, a myth. But wait, the scroll describes a catastrophe. Water came from above and below simultaneously. The earth broke open. Fire burst from the cracks. Those who survived left on ships.
They sailed long, many moons. They reached a great land, split up. Some went south, some east. Those who went east reached a land of rivers. There they stayed, lived long. Then they moved on west, through mountains and deserts, to lands of cold and forests. Land of rivers, that's India, the Indus and Ganges. So the Roma came to India from somewhere else, and from there to Europe. But from where? From Atlantis. I know it sounds crazy, but let's look at the facts. Fact 1, the genetic phantom. 30% of Romani genome doesn't belong to any known population. Where do these genes come from? Fact 2, the language. 70% of Romani has no analogues in known languages. Artificially created language or language of a vanished civilization. Fact 3, technologies. Metallurgy impossible for the Middle Ages. Music that changes brain function. Immunity to diseases that killed everyone else. Fact 4, artifacts. Discs from iridium alloy, activated only by Romani blood, create something. And fact 5, the most important, the mirror. Remember, in Ron's list, there were 7 items. The mirror is the only thing neither Nazis nor Soviets found.
In 2016, I talked to someone, I won't name names, he's still alive, a former employee of a European intelligence service. He worked in a department dealing with atypical issues. He said, "The mirror exists. It didn't disappear. It's always been with the Roma, passes from keeper to keeper. No one from outside knows where it is now." I asked what it does. He answered, "The discs are keys, the scroll is instructions, and the mirror? The mirror is the door." Door to where? He didn't answer, only said, "There's a reason the Roma have lived among us for 1,000 years and remain outsiders. They're waiting, preparing. When the time comes, they'll open the door and return to where they came from." Crazy, possibly, but then explain this to me. In 2011, an international group of astronomers discovered an anomaly. The Arecibo radio telescope picked up a signal, short, repeating, unlike anything natural. The signal came from the Pleiades. The Pleiades, 7 stars, 7 sisters in Greek mythology, 7 daughters of Atlas. Atlas, Atlantis. The signal was partially decrypted. It contained a mathematical sequence and something that looked like coordinates. Coordinates of a point on Earth. Guess where? Transylvania, the area where the first disk was found. Coincidence? And now, the scariest part. In 1944, the Nazis exterminated 500,000 Roma. The Romani Holocaust, Poraimos in Romani, means devouring. Official reason? Racial policy. Roma, inferior race, must be eliminated. But here's what's strange. Heinrich Himmler, head of the SS, issued a secret order in 1938, identify and preserve pure-blooded Roma, not kill, isolate, study. Why preserve an inferior race? The answer was found in that same Stasi Archive, a report to Himmler from the head of the Ahnenerbe, Wolfram Sievers. I quote from memory, "Roma are not an inferior race, they're remnants of a superior, ancient one. Their blood contains the key. We must obtain this key." They weren't looking for victims, they were looking for masters. After the war, the research continued, only now secretly in different countries under different facades. In the 50s, the CIA launched Project MK Ultra, officially studying mind control, but among the test subjects, disproportionately many Roma. Why? In the 60s, the USSR created a closed institute near Novosibirsk, officially ethnographic research on Siberian peoples, but a third of the staff are geneticists, and all work is classified to this day. In the 70s, the Vatican conducted an internal investigation. Topic: relics of unknown origin. Results in the secret archive. Access only for the Pope and 3 cardinals. Everyone was hunting the same thing, the key. And now we come to the present. In 2019, an event happened that almost no one noticed. In the Romanian city of Sibiu, ancient capital of Transylvania, representatives of Romani communities from all over Europe gathered. Officially a cultural festival, 3 days of music and dance. But on the 3rd day, at night, something happened. Locals reported strange light outside the city, in the area of the old forest. Bluish light, pulsating, lasted about an hour. Police went to the scene. They found a clearing. On the clearing, traces of a large fire. Around the fire, a circle of stones, and in the center of the circle, scorched earth. A perfect circle, 3 meters in diameter. The grass inside wasn't just burned, it disappeared along with the soil to a depth of 20 centimeters. The examination showed the combustion temperature exceeded 2,000 degrees. No fire produces that. And the radiation background was 5 times above normal. Not dangerous, but measurable. What happened there? The Roma are silent. Police closed the case. Journalists wrote about fireworks and moved on. But I found someone who was there. Not a Roma, a local, a forest ranger. He saw people standing in the circle, many people, motionless. In the center, an old man with something in his hands, something round, shiny, a disc. The old man raised his hands, the disc glowed, and then the ranger said he can't describe it. The air became thick, sounds disappeared, absolute silence, and then a column of light from earth to sky, bright, blue, cold. In the column of light, he saw something. Movement, shadows, as if people were walking down from above or up from below.
He didn't understand. It lasted about 30 seconds. Then the light went out. People dispersed as if nothing had happened. The ranger went home, didn't sleep for 3 nights, still wakes up in cold sweat. He told me they opened something, or called someone, or went themselves. He doesn't know, but he's sure it wasn't from our world. I tried to find that old man with the disc. 2 years of searching, nothing. Romani communities are silent. Contacts break off. People who agreed to talk call back a day later and refuse. One is said directly, "Don't meddle. This isn't your business. There are things people shouldn't know." I asked, "What people?" He answered, "Your people. Yours, not ours." And then I understood. All this time we've looked at Roma as people, a different culture, a different people, but people. What if not? What if the genetic phantom isn't a mystery? What if the 30% of unknown genes isn't an error? What if the Roma are literally not quite human? Not in a bad sense, not an inferior race, quite the opposite. Remember the facts: immunity to diseases, ability to endure any climate, music that changes consciousness, technologies centuries ahead of their time, a language created for communication with other intelligence, and longevity. In Romani communities, there are disproportionately many centenarians. Official statistics don't show this because many Roma don't have documents, but ethnographers know. 100-year-old elders are common, 120 years not rare, 140 there's evidence. The officially registered record for longevity, 122 years, Frenchwoman Jeanne Calment. But what if there are people who live longer? We just don't know. In 2018, geneticists from Harvard published strange work. They studied telomeres, end sections of chromosomes that determine aging. The shorter the telomeres, the older the organism. In normal people, telomeres shorten with age. In centenarians, they're short but stable. But in a group of 12 anonymous volunteers, telomeres were long, abnormally long, like in young people, although the biological age of volunteers exceeded 80 years. Researchers didn't indicate ethnic affiliation of volunteers, refused to comment. The work was cited 3 times and forgotten. But one of the co-authors wrote in private correspondence that leaked online to a colleague. They age differently than us. It's different biology. Who are they? And now the last fact, the most important. In the Vatican Archive, that secret archive, there's a document dated 1314, the year of the destruction of the Knights Templar. The document describes the interrogation of the last Grand Master, Jacques de Molay, before execution. The inquisitors asked him about the treasures of the Holy Grail, about the Ark of the Covenant. De Molay was silent, but at the end of the interrogation, he said one sentence that was recorded and by papal order sealed for 700 years. Here's that sentence.
You're looking for the wrong thing. The Grail isn't a cup. The Ark isn't a box. The real treasure is a people. They keep the keys. When the stars align, they'll open the way. And then, here the record breaks off. De Molay went silent, said not another word. 2 days later, he was burned. But the Inquisitor added a note. The criminal pointed to a group of wanderers who were by the walls of Paris that day, Gypsies. The year 1314, the first official appearance of Roma in Western Europe, 1407, 85 years later. That means they were here earlier. That means they were hiding. That means they were waiting. For what? When the stars align? I checked. In 2025, in a few months, a rare astronomical event will occur, a planetary parade. All major planets of the solar system will line up with Earth and the Pleiades. This happens once every 2,160 years. The last time was around 130 BC, the time of the fall of Atlantis. I don't know what will happen. Maybe nothing, maybe everything. But I know one thing. The Roma are preparing. For the last 5 years, unusual activity. Meetings across Europe. Elders who haven't left their community for decades are traveling. Artifacts kept in families for centuries are being moved. Something is gathering. And that man from the intelligence service, remember him, told me one last thing. When it happens, don't be afraid. They're not enemies. They never were enemies. They're just different, and they're returning home. But where's home? To India, to Atlantis, or somewhere else? In 2020, the radio telescope in Chile picked up another signal from the Pleiades, stronger, clearer. Decryption took a year. The results weren't published, but one of the astronomers, before he was removed from the project, managed to tell a journalist the signal contained an answer to a question no one asked. The time has come. They hear. They're waiting. And in that same year, 2020, in the middle of the pandemic, when the whole world was staying home, Romani communities across Europe performed a synchronized ritual. One night, one time, thousands of people. What they did, no one knows. Cameras didn't work, phones were jammed, witnesses, zero. But in the morning, some people reported a strange phenomenon. In the sky at sunrise, a strip of light was visible, thin, vertical, like a crack from Earth to the stars. Lasted few seconds, then disappeared. Official explanation: atmospheric anomaly, light refraction. But I saw a photo, one of 3 existing. That wasn't an anomaly. That was a door, ajar, and it will open fully soon, in a few months, when the stars align.
The word, the key. I searched for it for 2 years, asked everyone who agreed to speak. Most were silent, some laughed, one spat at my feet and left. But finally, I found someone who knew. An old man, 94 years old, lives in a mountain village on the border of Romania and Moldova. The drive there, 3 hours on a broken mountain road, the last 5 kilometers on foot, the car won't make it. House made of clay, straw roof, no electricity, water from the well. 21st century, but feels like the 15th. The old man sat on the threshold, smoked a pipe, looked at the mountains. When I approached, he wasn't surprised, as if he'd been waiting. He said, "You are the one who seeks." I nodded. He said, "Sit down." And he told me. 3 hours without a break, voice hoarse but firm, eyes clear. Not once did he stumble, not once did he repeat himself. Here's what he said. "We're not from this earth, not in the way your scientists think, not aliens, not extraterrestrials. We're human, but different humans, from a different time, from a different layer." He used a word in Romani.
I asked him to translate. He thought, said, "In your language there's no such word. Closest comes layer or dimension, but not quite. Imagine the world like a book, many pages, each page a separate reality. You live on one page, we came from another. Long ago, very long ago." I asked why. He answered, "Not by our own will. A catastrophe threw us out, a tear between pages. Our page burned almost completely. We're those who managed to leave." I asked about Atlantis. He smiled, said, "That's your word. Plato heard fragments, twisted them. We called it differently." He spoke a word, long, complicated. I asked him to repeat. He repeated. I wrote it down as best I could. Then I asked, "And the word, the key that can't be spoken?" The old man was silent for a long time. The pipe went out. He didn't notice. Then he said, "There are words that change reality, not describe, change. When you speak such a word, you open a door between pages. That's dangerous." I asked why. He answered, "Because doors work both ways. You can go out, but someone can come in." "Who?" The old man looked at me for a long time, then said, "On our page, we weren't alone. There were others, not human, not animals, something in between or higher. We lived side by side for thousands of years. They taught us, we served them. It was right. But then war came, not between us and them, between them, different groups. The war tore the page, our world burned. We fled, they stayed or died, we don't know." He silent, then added, "But some of them survived and have been searching for us all this time, 1,000 years. We hide, they search. That's why we wander. That's why we don't build houses. That's why we don't let strangers in." I asked, "The signals from the Pleiades, is that them?" The old man nodded. "They found a way to contact through your technology, your telescopes. They say the war is over. You can return. They're waiting." I asked, "Do you believe them?" The old man was silent for a long time, then said, "We're divided. Some believe, others don't. Those who believe are preparing to return. Those who don't want to stay. The dispute has been going on for a long time." I asked, "And you? Do you believe?" He looked at the mountains, at the sunset. The sun was setting behind the ridge. The sky burned orange and red. He said, "I'm too old. I won't see it. But my grandchildren, they'll choose for themselves. Soon, very soon, the planetary parade." I asked, "Is it true? Will the door open?" The old man answered, "The door can be opened any time if you have the keys, the discs, the mirror, the word, but it's easiest when the stars are aligned. Then the pages are thinner, closest together. You can pass without losses." "Without losses?" He explained, "The transition between pages changes body and mind. Not everyone can handle it. Some go mad, some die, some become different. When we came here, we were many, thousands, hundreds arrived. The others got lost between pages, in the void." I asked, "Did they die?" He shook his head, said, "I don't know. Maybe died, maybe stuck, maybe ended up on other pages. We don't know. No connection." I asked about the discs, their activation by blood. The old man nodded. "The discs are beacons. They're tuned to our blood, to our genes, to the part that's not from here. When blood touches the disc, it wakes up, starts calling through the pages, through the void. The Nazis understood this partially. They wanted to use it, open the door, call those on the other side. Thought they'd get power, weapons, victory." He spat, added, Fools, they didn't understand who they were dealing with. If they'd opened the door, they'd burn first. Those on the other side don't like strangers, especially that kind. I asked about the mirror, where it is, who keeps it. The old man smiled, for the first time in the whole conversation, said, "The mirror is always where it's needed, with whoever is ready. It chooses the keeper itself, passes from one to another, sometimes through generations, sometimes across continents. Now it's—" He went silent, looked at me carefully, said, "You're not ready to know. Maybe you never will be. This isn't your secret, not your story. You're an observer. You can tell, but not participate." I asked the last, most important question. What will happen when the door opens? The old man stood up, leaned on his stick, looked at the sky, already dark, stars appearing. He said, "Two paths."
First pass. We leave, all who want to. Return home to where we came from, if there's still a home there, if those who wait really wait, if it's not a trap. Second pass. We stay, close the door forever, become you completely, lose what makes us different, dissolve, disappear as a people. I asked, "Which path will you choose?" He answered, "I don't know. The young will decide. But I'll tell you one thing." He leaned toward me, voice became quiet, almost a whisper. "We're tired of hiding. 1,000 years. 1,000 years we've lived among you and remained outsiders. We were driven out, killed, hated for being different, for remembering. Maybe it's time to stop hiding. Maybe it's time to go home." He went into the house. The door closed. I stayed alone in the darkness, in the mountains, under the stars. And you know what? I looked at the sky, found the Pleiades, 7 stars, small, distant, and it seemed to me one of them blinked. I returned home, deciphered the recordings, checked facts that can be checked, contacted experts. Most refused to comment. Some hung up immediately when they heard the topic. But I found something. Remember the genetic study from 2012, 30% genes of unknown origin? I contacted one of the authors, not Comas. He no longer gives interviews, but his assistant, a former one. He quit a year after publication. He confirmed. The results were even stranger than what was published. Some data was removed at the request of higher-ups. He doesn't know who exactly requested it, but the pressure was serious. What was removed? He said, "In the Roma, we found genetic markers that shouldn't exist, DNA sequences that don't occur in any species on Earth, not in humans, not in animals, not in plants, nowhere at all." I asked what that means. He answered, "Either lab error or they're not from here, literally." Then he added, he no longer works in genetics, switched to another field, doesn't want problems. I found the astronomer from Chile, the one who worked with the signal from the Pleiades, the one who was removed. He lives in Peru now, small town in the mountains, teaches math at a school. He confirmed the signal was real, not noise, not interference, structured, purposeful. And he confirmed the decryption. The time has come. But he added something else. The signal contained not just those words. There were coordinates, not earthly, stellar, a point in the constellation Pleiades, and a date. The date coincided with the planetary parade. I found the forest ranger from Sibiu who saw the ritual in 2019. He didn't want to speak, was afraid, but I convinced him. He told more than the first time. When the column of light went out, the people in the circle didn't just disperse, they changed. He saw it. Their faces glowed,
eyes burned as if something had ignited inside them, and they moved differently, smoother, faster, as if their bodies had become lighter. This lasted a few minutes, then passed. They became normal again, went to cars, drove away. But one stayed. The old man sat in the center of the circle, didn't move. The ranger came closer, wanted to check if he was alive. The old man turned, looked at him, and the ranger says, "Those eyes he'll never forget. Not human, not evil, not good, just different, as if behind them was an abyss or eternity or something that has no name." The old man smiled, said one word in an unknown language, and the ranger blacked out, just went unconscious. Woke up in the morning, alone on the clearing, the scorched circle in place, nobody around. He still doesn't know what that was, a blessing, a curse, a warning. And the last thing, that man from the intelligence service who talked about the mirror, about the door, I contacted him again, a year after the first conversation. He didn't answer right away, was silent on the phone for a long time, then said, "Listen carefully, I won't repeat. They're completely ready. All artifacts collected, all keepers in place. The key word has been passed to whoever will speak it. Date known, place too, but I won't say, not because I don't trust you, but because no one should know except them." He silenced, then added, "But I'll tell you something else. When it happens, don't be afraid. Whatever you see, don't be afraid. They're not enemies. They were never enemies, just guests who've been guests for 1,000 years." He also said, "Look at the sky that night when the planets line up. Look at the Pleiades, and you'll see a light, a new light that appears where there was none. That will be the sign that the door opened, that they left or someone came." I asked, "And what about us, those who stay?" He answered, "Nothing or everything depends on who wins their dispute, leave or stay. If they leave, we'll forget in a generation or two. Roma will become legend, myth, like elves, like fairies, like Atlanteans. If they stay, everything changes. They'll stop hiding, show who they are, what they can do, where they came from." And then he didn't finish. The connection broke. The number doesn't answer anymore. That's everything. The whole story. Everything I found out in 3 years. All the facts, all the testimonies, all the mysteries. What of this is true? I don't know. I'm not a scientist, not a historian, not a geneticist. I just searched for answers, found questions, even more questions. But I know one thing for sure. The Roma aren't like us. That's a fact. Genetics confirms it. Linguistics confirms it. History confirms it. They're hiding something.
That's fact. 1,000 years from everyone, even at the cost of their lives. And something's happening right now while you're watching this. Something's preparing. Something's changing. The planetary parade in a few months. I'll be looking at the sky, at the Pleiades, and you look too. If you see a new light, then it's true. All true. The door opened, they left, or someone came. If you don't see anything, then I was wrong, or they decided to stay, or all this is just a story, beautiful, scary, meaningless. But I don't think it's a story. You know why? Because after the conversation with the old man in the mountains, I changed. Not physically. Inside, something shifted, as if he showed me the edge of a picture, and I understood. The world is bigger, more complex, stranger than we think. We live on one page, think that's all, but there are many pages, and between them doors, closed ones, for now. The old man told me one sentence on parting. I didn't understand it then, only understood now when putting everything together. He said, "You think we're strange, alien, incomprehensible, but look at yourself, look at your people. You kill each other, destroy the earth, forgot where you came from, don't know where you're going. We remember, we know, we've kept the keys for 1,000 years, waiting for the moment. Who's strange? And really, who? I'm not calling on you to believe, not calling on you to seek out Roma and demand answers, not calling on you to wait for the end of the world or salvation. I'm calling on you to think, to look, to notice. The world is full of mysteries. We've solved a few, the rest hide behind official history, behind scientific consensus, behind convenient explanations. The Roma are one of those mysteries, maybe the main one. In a few months, the planetary parade, the Pleiades will line up with Earth. If the old man didn't lie, the door will open and we'll find out who they really are, where they came from, where they're going. Or we won't find out and we'll keep living as before. But I'll be looking at the sky that night and searching for the new light. Look at the sky, wait, and remember, the world is bigger than we were told, much bigger. This was the truth about the Roma, the most mysterious people of humanity, or not quite humanity. See you on the other side.